Welcome to another session of Storytelling Yoga. If you're liking this series, please do subscribe to the channel. Today's main characters of the story are Mark Antony and Cleopatra. This is, of course, a tragic, romantic story. So let's interweave some asanas in this story and let's see how it goes. Cleopatra is the queen of Egypt, which we can signify by doing the pyramid pose. Mark Antony, who is one of the rulers of Rome, has asked to meet up with Cleopatra. And Cleopatra arrives in a barge, boat pose. As she slowly sails towards Mark Antony sees the splendor of this boat. There are purple sails on her boat and it's glittering with gold. And there is our Cleopatra. We will do the reclining lizard to signify, to denote Cleopatra. So there's our Cleopatra reclining in her barge, and she is dressed up like the Greek goddess of love, Aphrodite. At this sight, Mark Antony is absolutely smitten with love. Now, as Mark Antony and Cleopatra fall in love with each other, Mark Antony, who is one of the rulers of Rome, is starting to spend more and more time in Alexandria with Cleopatra and completely ignoring his duties in Rome. People of Rome are starting to get angry. To placate them, Mark Antony gets married to Octavia, who is the sister of Octavius, who is one of the other rulers of Rome as well. So to signify the marriage, we can intertwine our fingers, bring them to your heart and push out. Now, in spite of being married to Octavius, of course, our hero Mark Antony is in love with Cleopatra. And he still spends time with Cleopatra. This angers Octavius even more, and he decides to wage war on Cleopatra and Mark Antony. Now, this is a naval war, but we will depict this in the Hanumanasana. So coming into the Hanumanasana, taking the arrow mudra, lifting the arrow and archer's pose. Lifting the arrow and archer's pose. In this battle, our Cleopatra and Antony have to retreat. Like I said, it's a naval retreat, so boat pose, low boat, and they are retreating back to Alexandria. After this retreat, there is a lot of confusion. In this confusion, Mark Antony hears the rumor that Cleopatra is dead. In grief, he falls on his sword. This is a term for suicide of killing yourself with a sword in the Roman times. We can do that with the Mandukasana, but a modified Mandukasana. This is my sword and I'm falling on my sword. This is the Mandukasana. But as he has fallen on his sword, he hears that Cleopatra is actually not dead. So his men carry him all the way to Cleopatra. And Mark Antony dies in the arms of Cleopatra, which we are signifying in the butterfly pose, and just wrapping your hands around, embracing the opposite elbows, showing that Cleopatra is embracing Mark Antony. Now, as a result, Cleopatra would have had to be taken to Rome, and she fears the disgrace. She fears the disgrace and therefore decides to end her own life. How she does it is interesting. Coming down onto your stomachs, So coming onto your stomachs, taking your arms, fingers slightly wider apart, lifting and doing the striking cobra. So Cleopatra asks for an asp, which is like a cobra, which is a variety of cobra, and gets herself poisoned with the asp. So here's our striking cobra. And this is the end of our tragic story, love story of Mark Antony and Cleopatra. They both were buried side by side, and that we signify with the corpse pose, Shavasana. Hope you liked this short story. If you enjoyed it, please do subscribe to the channel. See you soon.